Hello students and welcome again to Biology 2. So now we are in chapter 6 variation. So it is continuation from the previous chapter. Here are the contents. We will learn about variation, what are the sources, species concept, further involved information on new species, and lastly, artificial selection. Okay, variation and evolution. Okay, what is variation? It is range of differences that there are between individual organisms. And they can be within species, and for example, if you look at humans, okay, every one of us are different. Okay, what about you have like one species of vegetable? There might be a lot of varieties of the same vegetable. For example, this carrot. So the thing is, carrots used to be white in color. Orange is relatively new to the scene. Okay, so who actually created this orange carrot? It is usually is based on selection and hybridization in 16th century. So the country Netherlands, okay, the king of the Netherlands, his royal color is orange. So he wanted the people to actually try to use or eat something that is orange, the royal color. So the farmers in Netherlands, they hybridize and they select until they actually get to the orange colored carrot. Okay, so all of this is due to the selection and hybridization. Okay, so here are felines. You can find on the left, these are wild cats. So they are not they're not tame. If we have, for example, you have serval that lives in Africa, and the sand cat that lives in the Sahara. Okay. And on the right, you can see all of these. These are the domestic cats. They are tame. The Persian, the Maine Coon. Okay, all of these, although they are felines, they actually have many variations. Variations in tail length, variations in fur, variations in shape of the head. Okay, the body, the legs, the coloration of the fur. Okay, even the tail, right? So dogs. Okay, dogs, they were domesticated between 10,000 and 35,000 years ago through selective breeding. So the earliest dogs presumably arose once we as humans we were still searching and gathering way before the appearance of agriculture. So around 33,000 years ago, men domesticated the tamest wolf by adopting their cubs into human tribes, fed them, and bred them selectively. So these wolves were raised amongst people, and they were given tasks that would facilitate the tribe's life, such as hunting, guarding, herding, and etc. Right. Variation evolution can also be between species. So, for example, you can see these are apes actually because they do not have any tails. Okay, the proboscis monkey in Borneo versus a silverback gorilla in Africa. Okay, and then you can see all of these are tigers, but they are different. Siberian tiger, Asian tiger, Amur tiger. Okay, and also you can see on the right, these are mushrooms. Different type of mushrooms, although they are all different, they are actually part of the fungi family. Variation can be continuous, which is quantitative. Usually for continuous, there's a value between the two extremes. For example, the height of humans, you can have somebody who is like 4 feet tall, okay, very short guy, and then we can see there are some people who are like 7 feet tall, okay, very tall, okay, and most people are in between these values. Okay, and okay, for body mass of cats, okay, body mass of cats, you can see that there are some small cats, medium cats, and then there are large fat cats. Okay, travel length of daffodils. Okay, daffodils are these flowers that has a trumpet on it. Some of them can be long, some of them can be short. Okay, so this variation, it can be affected by environmental and genetic factors. For example, somebody with a light colored skin can turn darker after exposed to the sun in a long period of time. So after a while, he becomes much more tanned. Okay, and all of these features show normal distribution. Okay, normal distribution means that most people are in the middle, while less is on the extremes. The extreme, okay, the largest value and the smallest value. Variation can be discontinuous or qualitative. So in this case, there are categories that people can be falling into. For example, human blood group, you can have either A, AB, B, or O. Earlobe type, either you have like attached earlobe or free earlobe. Okay, bacteria they are not, or they are resistant to antibiotic. Cool. Okay, so all of these they are not affected by environmental factors because they are totally genetic. So continuous versus discontinuous. The first difference would be how it changes. Continuous will have intermediate changes. Discontinuous will have no intermediate characters. So individuals will be falling in separate discrete classes. For example, for discontinuous, example is height and weight. Okay. Example for discontinuous will be blood type. Okay. And continuous usually in quantitative traits or numbers, 1, 2, 3, okay, or maybe 1.5 to 5, okay, any number. But discontinuous can be only in qualitative traits, which is characteristics. Continuous versus discontinuous. Continuous can be influenced by environmental factors, but discontinuous, no, it doesn't. In terms of curve, continuous variation will make a normal curve, and discontinuous would have a discrete curve. So human traits, all of these are the common human traits. You either have it or you don't. Okay. For example, tongue roller and versus non-roller. Tongue flipper versus non-flipper. We don't speak, straight line. These are the thumbs, straight thumb. All of these, we have either one or the two. Okay, you cannot have both, and you also do not have any intermediates. So variation and evolution, how are they connected? Genetics is due to the DNA inside of the cells. Environmental is due to the external environment influencing the characteristics. Okay, so importance of competition. Because individuals overproduce, the population must remain stable. So what happens that there will be competition because there's not enough resources and there are too many individuals. So only the best can actually get to the resource. So this ensures that maximum carrying capacity of the environment is not reached. So survivors can be able to survive and breed to pass on their beneficial alleles. Over time, the survivors will have their babies, and that their babies will be fighting for the resources again this for their generation, and the best of the best will be able to breed. So versus the previous generation, the new generation would be a little better than the previous. So what happens that accumulated changes can give rise to new species. Okay, so what defines species? The first definition of species would be the morphological species concept, meaning that you look at how it is looking like. Okay, morphology is that the appearance. Okay, if you look at something that looks like a bird, then yes, you might think that it is species of bird. Okay, according to Regan community, whose distinctive morphological characters are independent of component systematics, sufficiently definite to entitle it or them to a specific name. You see lizard, okay, or something that look like a lizard, then you say that yes, this is a lizard species. Okay. Second will be ecological species. So this one will be based on where they live. Okay. So according to Colin Vaux in 1986, a species is the number of related populations, the members of which compete more with their own kind with members of other species. Okay. Number three, phylogenetic species concept. A species is a smaller group of individuals that share a common ancestor. Okay, so in this case, phylogenetic will be like lineage. So are they related together as a lineage? Okay, okay, if they are related, then they are phylogenetic species. Okay, fourth one, biological species concept. These groups are actually or potentially interpreting corporation populations, which are reproductively isolated from such groups. So in this case, they can interbreed, meaning that they are part of the same species. Okay, for example, you can see the polar bear and the grizzly bear, right? One lives in the Arctic, one lives in the forest. But somehow, when you get them together, they actually can breed and they produce a hybrid. So both of them are same biological species. Okay, they are bears. So most taxonomists follow the following criteria by Stage in 1989. Individuals closely resemble each other and are readily recognizable. And the distinct differences in the variation of non-related species. Each species will have a specifically defined geographical area, and they are able to interbreed without loss of fertility. So, different species that interbreed often produce sterile or less viable offspring. For example, you can see on the bottom we have the liger, lion and tiger. So they breed, they make this hybrid that looks like lion, but with a little bit of stripes like tiger, but they are unable to produce any offspring. Same with the mule. Okay, mule is actually the interbreeding between horse and donkey. So horses, they are obedient, they are fast. okay, but they do not carry a lot of stuff on their backs. You'll be too heavy. Donkeys, they are strong. Okay, they can carry a lot of things on their back, but they are very, very stubborn. With a mule has the best of both worlds. Strong and also obedient. And if you look at the face, it is just like the combination between both. Okay, speciation. It is the evolutionary process of new formation of new species. So when they have a new species evolving, population become reproductively isolated from each other. For speciation, the gene flow must be interrupted. Okay, meaning that the individuals cannot breed with each other anymore. So when that happens, reproductive isolation has occurred because the gene flow has stopped. Isolation. So reproductive isolation mechanism prevents successful reproduction between old and new species. So factors can happen pre and after or post fertilization. Okay, so meaning that in terms of zygotic, right, zygotes, they need to combine to make an offspring. So the isolation can happen before they meet, the sperm and ovum meet, or after they meet. Mean that when they meet, they become a baby, and there's something causing the isolation. Okay, so this isolating mechanism is called a barrier. It ensures that both species are viably separate species. So you can have temporal or seasonal. Okay, you can have also ecological, animals that live in a different ecology. Behavioral. Okay, some animals, they have to attract their mate by doing something. Okay, and it doesn't actually meet the criteria of the females of the other population. Okay, mechanical. So mechanical means that incompatible genitals. The genitals, the ovipositor, the penis does not fit. And lastly, gamete incompatibility, meaning that the egg and sperm cannot form a zygote. So what happens if mating occurs, but there is no fertile offspring? We call it the post-zygotic barrier. So the first barrier will be the mortality. Okay, they are born, but they do not live long. Okay, they do not survive to adulthood, or maybe they die early. They get stillborn. Okay, so that's one barrier. Second barrier will be sterility or infertility. In this case, hybrids fail to produce gametes. For example, mules and ligers. Okay, they cannot have any babies because it cannot be created at all. Okay, there's no sperm, there's no ovum. Okay. Third one would be hybrid breakdown. So this one is usually found in plants, flowers, whatever, like orchids. Fourth generation is fertile, but second generation is sterile. So no longer able to breed. Right. So now we move to speciation. How does speciation occur? It's either allopatric or sympatric. So patric, or what's called it patriotic. It is something related to the home country. Okay, our country, our home. Allopatric means a different country or different home. Sympatric, it is the same. So in allopatric speciation, gene flow is interrupted or reduced when a population is divided into geographically isolated subpopulations. For example, you have a cormorant. So a cormorant is actually a bird that is able to fly and also is able to dive into the sea to catch fish. But there is a certain species of the cormorant that live in Galapagos that do not fly at all. They are flightless cormorants, Denopterum harrisi. Okay, so they do not actually fly, but they can swim instead. Okay, if you can see how their wings are very sparse. Okay, the quite short for the wingspan, but they're able to live. Okay, so the flightless cormorant of the Galapagos likely originated from the flying species from the mainland. Okay, you can see the mainland ones, long wings, able to fly, and they kind of look similar to the flightless cormorant. So what's the difference between them? One lives in the mainland, one lives in the island. In plants, you can see here's what happened. First of all, a single species is distributed over a broad range, and then the sea rises and isolates species. So now in the middle there, the canyon, okay, the valley, he's now underwater. There's no species living in there. So the ones left will be the one on the highland. Okay, and then with various move, population may recolonize and mingle but do not interbreed at all. Symmetric speciation. So this is what we call the speciation that happens within the same area or same geographical area. Okay, so you have one area but many different species due to individuals exploring a new niche. So they have their own thing to do. They have their own preference, their own favorite food. So they kind of specialize on that. Okay, meaning that now that they are separate, they eat different things. They do different behaviors, so they're unable to be compatible with the original population. Okay, for example, you can see this fish. There are four types. Hypochromis culotes. This one feeds on insects. Hypochromis macronatus. Okay, if you look at the name, natus means jaw. Macronatus means a big jaw. Because it has big jaw, they feed on other fish. Okay. Macroplorus bicolor. So this one feeds on snails and other mollusks. So they prefer their food slow, not fast food, slow food. Acetotetrapia elegans. So this one is a generalized bottom feeder. So it means that they are not really big enough to eat fish, okay, or not fast enough to eat like snails. They just eat whatever that is on the ground. Okay, so the least energetic of the four. So in elaborate speciation, the population forms while geographically isolated. But sympatric speciation, it is in the same area, no barrier, but there are species forming without the barrier. So in sympatric speciation, various factors can limit gene flow: polyploidy, niche differentiation, and sexual selection. Yeah, so polyploidy, if you remember the word diploid or monoploid, it is due to the chromosomes. Polyploidy is extra sets of chromosomes due to accident during cell division. So for example, humans have 23 times 2 chromosomes, so 46, right? So what if somebody has 92 chromosomes? So now you have two sets. So that's one example of polyploidy. So the thing is, polyploidy happens a lot in plants, but rare in animals. Okay, so if you have, for example, a strawberry with um, 8 times the number of chromosomes, octaploid, they will be much more larger. Okay, same goes with daylilies. Okay, regular ones quite small. Tetraploid, which is 4 times the chromosomes, much more larger, okay, bigger in the right one. Okay, and then you can see that the wheat or theosynth, okay, it used to be very tiny, but due to humans doing the selective breeding, the polyploidy, what happens that now our wheat has now become quite large compared to the previous version. So autopolyploid is an individual with more than 2 chromosome sets, so it's derived from one species. So it is due to mitosis error, due to chromosomes not separating. So for example, during the metaphase, all chromosomes are all lined up. Okay, in anaphase, all chromosomes will be split into half. One goes here and one goes there. But imagine due to a certain error, there will be no spindle fiber. So the chromosomes are all pushed to a single cell. Okay, so now you have two sets of chromosome in the gamete. In the gamete, you're supposed to have like one, but now you have two, both. Okay, so when this gamete meet with another gamete, which is, for example, ovum plus sperm, now you have even more sets of chromosome. Okay, more than normal. Okay, that's what I was saying. Species A has the 2n chromosome, which is 6. Species B is 2n is 4. So these are two species. Due to multi-error, the species B do not reduce number. Usually meiosis will be reduced. From 4, we get 2 chromosomes only. But here, due to multi-error, 4, and then anaphase doesn't happen. So it will remain as 4 chromosomes within cell. So when you have a hybrid, so normal chromosome for the species A, which is 3, plus this 4 from species B, you get hybrid with 7 chromosomes. And then when you have the unreduced gamete with 7 chromosomes and hybridized with the normal gametes species A, which is 3, now you can see that there are pairs. Okay, so now that the chromosomes are all paired, you have a new species which are viable and fertile. What does it mean? It means that they're able to live, they're able to breed because all the chromosomes are paired now. Okay, means that when they do gametogenesis, create sperm, create ovum, they can be equally divided. Okay, Okay, next one will be habitat niche differentiation. So it is resulting from the appearance of new ecological niche in the same habitat. So you have one area, but somehow there are different niches. Okay, for example, in this area, in America, okay, you have a whole area where there's forest and four seasons. But the thing is, you don't actually have one type of bear. There's actually two: the black bear and also the brown bear. Both live in the same area. So what causes this to happen? It is because the niche between the old and new species are very distinct that prevent frequent hybridization. Okay, it is much more of a behavioral barrier than a geographic barrier to the flow of genes. The most popular example will be the North American maggot fly versus the uh, versus the newer version of it that live in a different tree. The old one live in a hawthorn, the new one lives in a apple tree. Okay, so apple's maggot fly original habitat was hawthorn trees, but some population colonized apple trees that are introduced by the European settlers. Okay, so European settlers, they brought their fruit to America and they plant it there. So apples and hawthorns, now you have two fruits. So apples mature quickly than hawthorn fruit. So it leads to habitat differentiation. So some flies fly over to the apple tree and they enjoy to eat the apple tree. So apple feeding flies has been decided for rapid development. So mean that they grow up faster, okay, they can breed faster, okay, compared to the fly that live in the hawthorn. So soon after, you have a temporal isolation and reduced gene flow between this population. So now both of these flies do not even mix together, do not breed with each other anymore, although they live in the same geographic area. Next, sexual selection. It is a mode of natural selection in which some individuals outproduce the others or population because they are better in securing mates. Animals get their reproductive partner by driving away or kill their rivals, or accept or charm those of the opposite sex. For example, you can see in this picture the peacock, right? Tries to charm a peahen. So the peacock, although it has like a very beautiful plume or tail, but the thing is, this tail actually causes them to be slower to run away from predators. So it makes them uh, little less survivability in the wild, but in terms of scoring their mates, okay, it is able to charm the female in having reproduce with them. Okay. Other than that, you can see on the right this walrus. So walrus, male walruses would fight each other to get to the female. Okay. So once they actually defeat the male, they can now have reproduction with the female. Some animal species actually have this alpha male. Alpha male is the king of all males. He defeated all the other males. So he will be the only one that can breed with the females. While other males, are just lackeys. Okay, they cannot do anything. Artificial selection, which is the last part. So artificial selection is the intentional or unintentional modification of species through human actions, which encourages selective breeding. So this causes altered genotype, which produces new strain organism for specific purposes. And many domesticated animals will form this way. Human preferences or influences affects the evolution of particular population. So if there is a trait that we desire, we promote it through selective breeding. And the undesired traits, we exclude them from breeding. So we don't let them breed. So who controls the traits? It is human. Humans control which organism in the population reproduce or offspring that is produced. The population of organism changes, favoring human desires instead of adaptation or natural selection. As you can see here, this is what you call a lemon. Lemon actually is not a natural fruit. It cannot be found in the wild naturally. It is something that is created by humans as a hybrid between oranges and citron. Okay. And oranges, if you don't know, they are not even natural. They are hybrids of pomelo and mandarin. The domestic dog is actually a subspecies of the grey wolf, Canis lupus. Okay, so all domestic dogs are known as the Canis lupus familiaris, okay, because they are tame dogs. Early dog breeding mimic natural selection. So the dogs that could herd sheep or cattle or that could defend against intruders, they are the ones which we as human bred for the next generation. But since the 18th century, there is something called kennel clubs. People just coming together to show off their dogs. So in this case, they just breed dogs based on aesthetics. So how they look like. Okay, you have the dogs which have certain coats of fur, a certain face, a certain what's called it height, okay, a certain body pattern. Okay, so they are bred not for that strong or functional functional job, but it is just for the looks. So they are found a lot in the colonial Britain for breeders to show off pedigree dogs. So until now, we can see in dog shows, this is still being, this is still going on. So disadvantages. Artificial selection can unintentionally create organisms which are dangerous for the population. So killer bees, they are actually Africanized honeybees. They are bred to produce more honey because usually honeybees, they create honey which is sweet, but the quantity is not much. Africanized bee, they are big bees that can create a lot of honey. Okay, but the thing is, due to this hybridization, African bee and honeybee from European, they have created something that's called killer bee. Okay, these killer bees, they can create a lot of honey, which is tastes good, but the side effect is that they have increased aggressiveness. Okay, so compared to regular bees, they will always pursue the person who has been seen as a threat to the hive until that person dies. Okay, so they will not give up. Okay, and they will just try to kill anybody who is threatening the hive. So it's not really good for honey collectors. Usually when you try to collect honey, okay, the bee will surround you, right? But after you go away or you use some smoke, the bee will leave you alone. But for killer bees, they will just pursue you until you go home. Okay, they will still follow you and try to sting you. Other than that, the banana. Banana is quite a familiar fruit, quite a popular fruit. But if you notice that in the bananas, if you peel it, there is no seeds at all. All fruits have seeds, but bananas don't even have seeds. Why? Because of artificial selection. We select only the one that do not produce seeds. So in this case, bananas cannot be bred with a seed because they do not create any seeds. But wild bananas actually have seeds. So how do people breed banana plants in plantations? They do cutting. They cut part of the old tree, plant it, and then the cutting will become a large banana tree. Okay. So unlike watermelon, unlike durians, unlike apples, they do not have any seed that we can plant. Okay, because we have caused them to make no seeds at all. Disadvantages. It can remove variation in the population, create new mutations, and perpetuate harmful mutation due to recessive genes. And the process of artificial selection is very expensive. Okay, so usually dog breeders, they have to buy a large field. Okay, they have to take care of the food, take care of animals. Okay, the animals sometimes they get sick a lot. Okay, so you have to go to the vet a lot. Okay, very expensive. Okay, and it can cause harm to the animals that have been bred, such as the shorter lifespan. Now we move to inbreeding. Inbreeding will be the breeding between closely related individuals, either plants or animals. So this actually causes decreasing genetic diversity, increasing the chance to express the genes more than normal. Okay, so it also promotes homozygosity, which are more recessive traits are expressed. And in the end, you'll have less variation and the species might not be able to adapt to environmental changes. Outbreeding is the exact opposite of inbreeding. So it is mating or breeding between unrelated or distantly related individuals or species of plant. So it produces more variation, increases the number of heterozygous individuals, and exhibits hybrid vigor. So hybrid vigor or heterosis means that when you have heterozygote genes, means that one gene is different from the other, is much more stronger than somebody with a double dominant or double recessive. In humans, it is called mixed marriage. So here are some artists who are well known, who are the product of mixed parentage. We have Johan, Chinese Malay, Mariah Carey, black plus Venezuelan plus Irish plus white American, Bautista, okay, the wrestler, Filipino and American, Bruno Mars, Puerto Rican, Filipino and white American, and then you have Henry Golding, from our country, Iban and British. Okay, right. So that's the end. I'll see you in the next class. Thank you.